Have you ever stopped to think about how many opportunities you might have missed out on because of the fear of making mistakes? For many entrepreneurs, perfectionism feels like the safest route to excellence, but in reality, it acts more like a barrier, holding back growth. The truth is, for anyone trying to build a business, the constant need for everything to be flawless can be more of an enemy than a virtue. As Brené Brown describes it, perfectionism isn't just about striving for quality or wanting to overcome challenges. It's often a shield we use to try to avoid criticism, failure, and, deep down, vulnerability. But does this drive to avoid mistakes at any cost really lead us to success? Brown shows us that it doesn't. In fact, this kind of perfectionism keeps many from taking decisive steps and embracing the risks that drive success. In this video, we're going to explore how perfectionism directly affects the journey of those building a business and how it can be overcome through Brené Brown's insights and lessons. We'll dive into concepts like vulnerability, courage, and self-compassion as tools to free entrepreneurs from the paralysis of perfectionism, creating space for authenticity and confident progress without fearing failure. Our journey begins with a fresh perspective on what it really means to pursue excellence, shifting perfectionism into a mindset of continuous progress. So, what would your life and business look like if you could let go of that need for perfection and focus instead on evolving authentically? If we think of perfectionism as a pursuit of quality, the reality is far more complex. Brené Brown, an expert in vulnerability and authenticity, describes perfectionism as an attempt to shield oneself from hurt. It hides behind the need for approval and the fear of failure. For entrepreneurs, this becomes a powerful trap. In the eagerness to avoid mistakes and ensure everything is flawless, they often sacrifice speed, innovation, and even the courage to take risks. The armor of perfectionism is built on the belief that we'll be valued and accepted by always delivering impeccable work. But Brown's research reveals that, rather than protecting us, this obsession with perfection breeds anxiety, self-criticism, and even stagnation. Instead of a healthy pursuit of excellence, perfectionism becomes a barrier that keeps genuine connections at bay, discouraging entrepreneurs from being transparent and making bold decisions that propel the business forward. For entrepreneurs, perfectionism can also hinder team relationships and limit growth potential. In trying to make everything perfect, many avoid delegating tasks, leading to burnout and restricting team development. Without this freedom, the entrepreneur is left on a lonely, exhausting path. Here's the invitation: to recognize perfectionism as a barrier and open your mind to alternatives. By understanding that perfectionism stems from a fear of judgment, we can start to replace it with a mindset of progress and authenticity. With this shift, mistakes become an essential part of the journey, not as failures, but as opportunities for growth. When we talk about vulnerability in the business world, many see it as a weakness. But Brené Brown shows that vulnerability is one of the greatest strengths an entrepreneur can develop. Being vulnerable doesn't mean being unprepared or fragile. It means being open to learning from mistakes and accepting that the process won't always be perfect. For entrepreneurs, vulnerability is the first step to confronting perfectionism because it allows them to address insecurities without getting stuck. Brown explains that vulnerability is essential for innovation and growth, as those who allow themselves to be vulnerable are also willing to take risks, an absolute necessity in a competitive market. When a leader adopts a vulnerable stance, they create space for their team to feel comfortable taking risks, testing new ideas without the weight of judgment. A powerful example of this is the feedback process. In a high-perfectionism workplace, honest and constructive feedback can feel like a personal critique, fostering a sense of apprehension. But when vulnerability is present, the team understands that feedback is a tool for improvement, not judgment. A vulnerable entrepreneur creates an environment where mistakes are lessons and continuous improvement is a shared goal. To start embracing vulnerability, an entrepreneur can take small steps, like admitting mistakes and welcoming feedback with empathy. These actions help dismantle the fear of appearing imperfect and transform vulnerability into a pillar of growth. Instead of avoiding challenges, the company can face them as opportunities for collective strength. Entrepreneurs who embrace vulnerability as a growth strategy build stronger connections, not only with their teams, but also with their clients. Imagine an entrepreneur facing issues with a newly launched product. Rather than hiding the flaws, they communicate transparently with customers, letting them know improvements are underway and sharing the commitment to making the product better. This honesty builds trust and increases the brand's perceived authenticity. By embracing vulnerability, they show that the company is willing to listen and improve, attracting a loyal customer base that values this approach. Internally, this attitude also fosters a space where everyone feels safe proposing innovative ideas without fear of appearing inadequate. When the team sees that the leader owns their own mistakes, they feel more encouraged to innovate and experiment, knowing that errors are a natural part of the growth process. In the business world, the saying, "done is better than perfect," might sound risky. For perfectionists, the idea of delivering something less than flawless can be daunting. However, Brené Brown emphasizes that steady progress is far more valuable and effective than waiting for the ideal moment to act. This mindset allows entrepreneurs to move forward without the weight of judgment and the fear of not meeting a high standard on the first try. The pursuit of progress over perfection brings practical benefits, one of the biggest being the speed with which you can learn and adjust. Entrepreneurs who embrace "done is better than perfect" often launch prototypes and test ideas in the market quickly, gathering real feedback and adjusting the product accordingly. This way, the business doesn't get stuck in idealism and instead advances continually. A clear example of this can be seen in startups that release initial versions of products, known as MVPs, minimum viable products, where the focus is on understanding user behavior before fine-tuning. Many companies achieve success by prioritizing learning from their audience rather than waiting for the first version to be flawless. By adopting this approach, entrepreneurs see development as an iterative process, where every release is a learning opportunity, not a final exam. To start applying this concept, entrepreneurs can set realistic deadlines and aim for daily progress. Working in small steps and short-term goals eases the pressure to have everything perfect at once, helping to build a project that's solid and adaptable. In a dynamic market, this mindset encourages more innovation, allowing entrepreneurs to make quick adjustments and move forward without the weight of perfection. Embracing imperfection requires courage, especially in a world that often glorifies unattainable standards of success. For Brené Brown, this courage is essential for anyone wanting to lead authentically and inspire a team to do the same. Being imperfect, accepting mistakes, and admitting failures may seem contradictory for those pursuing excellence, but this approach actually creates a solid foundation of trust and respect in the workplace. Entrepreneurs who allow themselves to be imperfect open the door to significant transformation. Rather than fearing challenges, they face them with resilience. Recognizing their own limits and missteps teaches leaders that they don't have to have all the answers, but that they are capable of learning continually. This attitude fosters a mutual trust where team members feel safe to contribute, make mistakes, and learn without fear. A clear example of this is seen in leaders who take responsibility for wrong decisions and openly share the lessons learned. This kind of vulnerability inspires the team and strengthens the company culture, showing that mistakes are human and that, instead of hiding failures, everyone can use them as stepping stones for growth. When leaders recognize that perfection is unachievable, they free their teams to explore and innovate, making the business more dynamic and resilient. To practice this courage, an entrepreneur can start with simple steps, like sharing a personal challenge in a meeting or supporting team members' difficulties without criticism. Embracing imperfection brings the freedom to move forward, creating a foundation of authenticity that strengthens both the business and everyone involved in it. Overcoming perfectionism is a process that requires practice and commitment, but there are simple strategies to help along the way. Brené Brown suggests that the key to fighting perfectionism lies in developing self-compassion, reducing self-criticism, and cultivating a progress-oriented mindset rather than a perfectionist one. For many entrepreneurs, adopting these daily practices can relieve internal pressure and allow for more grounded, steady growth. One of the first recommended practices is mindfulness, which helps recognize self-critical and limiting thoughts without being consumed by them. For instance, when noticing a perfectionist thought, the entrepreneur can replace it with a more realistic view, reminding themselves that learning takes time and that mistakes are part of the journey. Daily mindfulness can be practiced through brief pauses during the day, allowing entrepreneurs to assess their reactions and refocus on productivity and self-compassion. Another practical strategy is using positive affirmations to reprogram critical thinking. An affirmation like, "I'm doing my best with the resources I have right now," or "It's normal to make mistakes and learn," serves as a constant reminder that perfection isn't the goal. This simple technique, when repeated, strengthens self-esteem and encourages entrepreneurs to take more risks, even without guarantees of perfection. Lastly, the 5% improvement technique encourages entrepreneurs to focus on continuous, incremental progress rather than waiting for a perfect leap. This approach helps combat perfectionist blocks, promoting visible and sustainable progress where growth is ongoing and doesn't rely on major milestones. The decision to let go of perfectionism not only eases internal pressure but also brings tangible benefits for career growth and well-being. Entrepreneurs who manage to replace perfectionism with a progress-driven mindset experience numerous positive changes, from improved emotional balance to sustainable business growth. First, by reducing the need for perfection, entrepreneurs gain greater clarity for making quick, effective decisions, an essential advantage in a competitive market. Without the obsession over zero mistakes, they feel free to adjust course and try new strategies, providing the agility needed for innovation and adaptation. This mindset opens the door to real feedback from clients and the market, allowing continuous improvement of products and services. Another key benefit is creating a healthier work environment. When leaders embrace their own mistakes, the team feels more comfortable taking risks and innovating. The organizational atmosphere becomes lighter, with less tension and more openness to dialogue. This strengthens trust within the team and enhances collaboration. These benefits directly impact the mental health of both the entrepreneur and the team. Internal pressure decreases, making work more enjoyable and productive, leading to outcomes that go beyond financial success alone. Letting go of perfectionism is a profound transformation that brings more freedom and satisfaction to the entrepreneur, helping to build a resilient and continuously growing company culture. Overcoming perfectionism is a journey that requires courage and persistence. Throughout this video, we've explored how the relentless pursuit of perfection can become a roadblock in life and business, and how, through Brené Brown's insights, we can turn this barrier into an opportunity for growth. The final takeaway is an invitation for you, the entrepreneur, to reflect on your relationship with mistakes and your own limitations. Imagine the freedom to move forward without the constant weight of self-criticism, allowing yourself to learn from errors and adapt to challenges. When we let go of the need for perfection, we create space for a lighter approach that values authenticity and progress. This new mindset fosters a learning environment and resilience, strengthening not only the business, but also the well-being of everyone involved. So, if this content has given you insights and motivation to let go of perfectionism, subscribe to the channel and share this video with other entrepreneurs. Spread this message of authenticity and courage, and remember, being vulnerable and imperfect is an essential part of the journey to success.